Right, so I'm just going to do a very, very quick screencast of some thoughts about how the lessons that you do could be put online. So if I go, first of all, if you want to schedule a lesson, we go into calendar. You'll note that the calendar is synced with your Outlook calendar. This is the Outlook calendar. I clicked on new meeting earlier, or I just clicked on the calendar and it opened up the opportunity for a meeting. If we're going to have a meeting, we have to have some attendees. So I'm going to invite a friend or a colleague. Oh no, the wrong one. Annoy. One end, two ends. Bother. There we go. I've invited somebody along. I've highlighted how important it is to bring their ideas. I'm going to send them an update. There's my meeting. Oh, look, I have the opportunity to join it. I'm going to join. It will ask if I want my microphone showing. I don't like my microphone. My video. Oh, look. Oh, God, my picture's even worse. Never mind. I can have the microphone working and I can edit things about that. I'm going to join. Last time I muted the speaker, or rather my speakers on my microphone are muted, so it's warning me. So I'm just waiting here for others to join. They don't all have to join. So here's a class started. Oh God, I hit my picture. I'm just waiting here for the class to start. Others might join. I'm hoping my poor colleague won't think that she has to. So what you'll find is you have a space here. I'm going to just minimize this. I have the whole space here. The really useful things that you have. Here we have the opportunity to share. We can share my screen. I know at the moment that is the screen. I could, if I have multiple screens, I can choose which screen or which window I want to have open. So if I had already opened a document, I could bring that up now. I also have the chance to show PowerPoints. It will show me here the most recent ones I've used, and then I can browse as well. So I can actually run a PowerPoint in this space. All the while, perhaps I'm waiting, and I'll note probably down the right-hand side, I think, excuse me, who is part of the group now. So you can keep track of who is in that group. Another useful thing is I can share a whiteboard. It's been a bit slow over the last few days. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it should come up eventually with a whiteboard that people can go over. So you have the opportunity to interact with your students. You can set something and then they can... I'm going to give up on the whiteboard. It's not working at the moment. Hey, let's have some essential business studies stuff. So I can share that. I'm now in a group with the people I invited. I can chat. There we go. What an important PowerPoint this is. I have the opportunity to share this information with the students. We can, if we have our microphones on, we can chat, or we can have a typing conversation here, and I can see what they're talking about. Lessons I've learnt from my daughter, who's just started lessons online this week. She had seminars yesterday, and theirs were typed, and so nobody had their microphones on. She said it was so silent, the lecturers were just not pushing students, and students just didn't want to interact. My advice would be, you know who's in the group. The platform they were using, I don't think the tutors knew who was there at the time. You know who's in the group. Chat to them, name them, ask some specific questions. Do your usual classroom technique because you're smart. Another thing I have found when I was trying to find out about screencasting, so this could be an opportunity for you, is that, I was looking for that yesterday, is that you can, at some point in your meeting, you can start recording and then obviously turn off recording. What I found yesterday is it says that it doesn't have support for recording on the whiteboard yet. So it can only record things like this PowerPoint and the things that are showing up on the screen, with, I presume, yes, in fact, including the voices and the sounds that are recorded going on. So you can record a lesson, but please, please be careful of student data. If you are recording, you have the possibility of sharing names, and you must not share that video outside of that group, because of course you could be sharing information between about student personal information. If you do record, the first thing that it does is it warns you to ask permission of those students, or of those, attendees. You have to ask them if they are happy for it, and then there's a link to a policy. I don't know if we have one there, and then you have the opportunity to say, yes, I know that's done. When you're finished doing that, of course you can stop recording, and when the meeting finishes, you can just hang up. There, I've left the meeting, and it has a knowledge that you had that. Of course, if you are in a team, here's my team, I can have an instant meeting. It's me again. And at the moment, so this is a really good way. Oh God, I'm going to turn my camera off again. Oh, I don't know, am I? Actually, that's a bit better. Look at me with my wet hair. If you're running a meeting, if you want to record something, you can just begin an instant meeting like this. This is me on my own. I haven't invited anyone. And of course, then I have the opportunity to start recording. So I intend, one way or another, perhaps to have either a recording like this, or my other thought was to have a PowerPoint. And one of the things that you can do, obviously, on a PowerPoint is you can insert onto a slide audio, record audio. So I can do slide by slide. I can have some recording to explain what that slide is talking about. So that's a second way that you could create some content. Thirdly, I think I mentioned I use something called Screencast-O-Matic. That's I've purchased this. You can get recordings under 5 minutes for free, but it's something like $1.20 per month. So for the amount of recordings I make, that's worth having for me. The reason I was excited a minute ago was because I thought that Screencast-O-Matic, it was the only tool I'd found that I could add blur onto my videos to hide personal information. But it turns out that if I record, I can, oh no, that's not quite what I want. That's blurring my background. Oh, why would I want to just have me in focus? So I think if you want to blur anything, Planet eStream obviously is the college recommended source for screencasting. but I'm not as familiar with it. But Screencast-O-Matic has the possibility that I can blur sections if I want to. So I'm going to be using that probably. So if I want to do online content, I might add a meeting to a calendar. I think I may potentially, I'll hang that meeting up. I may potentially invite people to a regular meeting, maybe 1 hour a week for my A-levels. I can also create an assignment. I experimented with this last year, earlier this academic year. I didn't quite have the success I wanted. I wanted to do a cover lesson with this. So what I can do here, I made a lesson. I hope I'm covering up their information. I want to see what the assignment looked like. Edit assignment. So I've got some instructions, and then I had a document that I attached. I added a video and some links, and I did actually create some rubrics. And what it does is it explains to the students how the work will be marked. I'm going to go, I haven't made any changes to that. Let's go back. I could create an assignment. It can be a quiz or an assignment. Oh, I'm trying to think of a clever like Newton model. Please complete this worksheet. Say I made some rubrics. So I explained how I would be marking certain work, how they would marks would be allocated on different length essay questions. Yeah, it's going to be an essay question I'm expecting here. I can have a due date and a due time, and then I can assign, and when I assign it, I'm assigning it to the group, to everybody in that group. Okay, at the start I would give students a heads up. I know it's back to front, but message them, email them, whatever, to remind them as well. We're trying to get students to put Teams on their phone, but we've all got to use it sensibly to make sure we don't get overwhelmed with messages. So that's a second, another way that you could have an online content. So the two things I've done is three things I've done. One, live meetings, and you can start those using your calendar. Thanks, Andy, for showing me that. Two is that through a meeting, and you can have a meeting on your own, you can record your content. Other ways you can record content are Planet eStream on Blackboard, or say I like Screencast-O-Matic. It's fairly intuitive. And then the other thing that I showed was assignments, how to set assignments. What happens is that when you set them, the students then have to work on them, and then they turn in their work, which you can then give marks to. I'd love to give you some help on that, but I'm afraid it's beyond my pay grade. Okay, look, my recorder is recording. I just had cold feet that it wasn't. I'm going to pause here and finish this recording. Thanks.